Hey everybody, welcome back to Lemon Branch DIY. Today we're doing a sprinkler valve repair. So what's interesting about this leak, this is the very last sprinkler on this one particular line. And as you can see, there's just water. It just keeps coming out of it, which there's only one way that the water can get to the sprinkler, and that would be through a faulty valve. So let's go take a look at the valve box and I'll show you what we're up against. Okay, so this is the valve box. And inside the valve box, we're gonna find a whole bunch of valves. So you just kind of lift that off, and inside we can see several different valves. So earlier this week, when I came out here, this box was full of water, which tells me that one of the valves was also leaking on top. So see where that got a new cap to it? That I just replaced the top of it. I didn't replace the bottom part of the valve. And I was thinking that would be the only thing I need to do to fix this leak. But it turns out that fixed the leak that was filling the box up with water. However, there's still something wrong with that valve. It's staying open. So this particular valve is, for some reason, staying open and not closing off when it starts to shut off. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get down in there. I'm gonna see what all is required to pull this thing apart and put in a new one. Before I do anything though, this right here is the solenoid. This is what the wiring, when it goes to your controller or your little sprinkler box that controls your sprinkler, your timer. So your timer basically is what's wired to this guy here. So that's what tells the sprinklers to go on and off. So this thing here needs to be removed first, and all you do is you just twist it off like this. So by twisting that off, then we can get the wiring out of the way. So that just screws on top like that. It's very simple to remove. Then we can just kind of place this stuff off to the side as we're working on the valve. Okay, so now with the solenoid off, I'm just kind of digging around a little bit. And what I'm gonna first do, since it's already connected to the pipe on this side, this right here is like a union joint. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some channel locks, and I'm gonna try and twist that off and see if I can just at least remove the valve on this side. And then maybe it'll allow me to just twist it off, and we might not need to do a whole lot to put the new valve in. So it'll make more sense once I get it off. But let's first use some channel locks. And I'm just gonna stick the channel locks in there and start twisting them. That might be loose enough to, yep. Okay, so once we get this guy off, there it goes. Now I'm able to lift the valve up, and I've got a little bit of play with it on that side. I might be able to just twist this thing off like that. I might have to use the channel locks in both my hands to keep this fitting from moving. This is a system called, it originally started out as Echo Lock. Now Orbit makes it, and they've changed it to, it's called Blue Lock. So if your system, or if you're replacing it, what's nice about this particular system is there's no gluing involved. The fittings look kind of like this, and then at the end, the fitting itself has these little shark teeth, and so you cut the pipe and it just slides right on there. There's a little rubber gasket, and so as you're putting a system together, you don't need to do any gluing or anything. But this is made by Orbit, and the new stuff is called Blue Lock, and so it's kind of a black color with some, and the pipe is colored blue if you're using a 1/2 inch, or it's black if it's a 1 inch. But anyway, it's called Blue Lock. This is the predecessor to that called Echo Lock. So that's what this system is. The Blue Lock will work on this Echo Lock. It's the exact same thing, just a different color, kind of rebranded it. So what I'm gonna try and do is, since this thing here, it's just got like these shark teeth in it, so the whole thing will twist around the pipe. I need to put some channel locks on this side just to keep it from twisting, so I can kind of twist this thing off if it'll let me do it. If that's the case, I might be able to put this whole thing back together without having to go to Home Depot and get any parts. But let's see if I can get it apart, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so what's awesome is with my channel locks, I was actually able to just unscrew it. Once I popped that side off, I was able to raise it up just a little bit because that pipe is actually a little bit flexible, and I was able to get it off. So this is the valve, and what we're gonna do is this fitting here, which is the union, I'll be able to take that off and put that on a new valve that looks exactly the same. I'll clean this all up, and then we'll reinstall the new valve. And I can't believe it, I didn't have to cut that pipe, and I'm not gonna need any other pieces. Thank goodness for that union joint there. It allowed me to do all this. So there's the old valve, and I just kind of used the hose to clean it up just a little bit so I could see what I have to work with. I'm gonna be removing this fitting here, and what's cool about these, it just kind of slides back. That's where it would go into the pipe, but right here there's these little grooves. So once you slide this back and put it into the grooves, that's what gives you some leverage to twist it off of the valve. So there's the new valve, and what I'm gonna be doing is putting this guy right here, because it's threaded on the end, and then the other side that will go into the existing pipe, which is still in the box. Before I do that, I'll put some Teflon tape. I'll show you that here in just a second. So to get this off, what I'm using is 2 sets of channel locks. So I've just got one wrapped around this side, and then I'll take these channel locks and put it up over on this side, and then use both of my hands to start twisting it off. So one thing I like to do, this is the new valve. So there's the new valve. On the top it shows the direction the water is flowing. So from the main water it goes from this way into where the sprinkler heads are. So you want to make sure that you install it in the correct direction, otherwise it's not going to work. So you got to make sure that. But before we do that, what I did is this is called a jar top. What's nice about these is it doesn't require any tools. You just basically, it's a jar top because it just screws right on. But before I install it, I like to put the Teflon tape around all of these fittings. What that does is just kind of make it a little bit of a tighter seal and will prevent any future leaking. So Teflon tape, it's very inexpensive. It just comes like this. It's a white tape, and you just wrap this around all of the fittings. So on this fitting here that we just took off, that union, you can see that's the old Teflon tape. I'm gonna replace the Teflon tape, just put some new on there. It's really simple to do. You just take it and you wrap it just right around, just like that. So I'll use both hands to do that, and then I'll show you how it looks after. Okay, so there's the Teflon tape. Now you only have to wrap it around like 1 or 2, 3 times at the most. So anywhere that those fittings or the threads are, that's where I just put it on. I actually, back over here in the box, the other side, I just put it on that threading as well, so that the Teflon will just kind of help keep anything from leaking and keeps things nice and tight. Before I go to install the new valve back into the spot, I am tightening everything up tight first before I put it down into the valve. So this, I got that back on nice and tight. You can see it's as tight as I can get it. There's the Teflon with the jar top. I actually used the channel locks to tighten that up as well. So now we're ready to start putting this back in. So I need to take this side, screw it back into there, and then I'll reattach that side there. But first we'll just get this side done, then we'll put it into place. All right, I just got everything all put back. Everything's nice and tight. All that water you're seeing, I just decided to take a small stream of water and just kind of clean off the tops of those. Since I removed the solenoids, which is, if you remember this guy here, that went right into the top of these valves. I removed that one so I could get a little bit more room to work with. So before I put those back on, I just want to make sure there was no dirt or anything in them. So I just kind of hosed them off really quick. Now we'll just clean the other sides of these solenoids. They're a little bit dirty as well. I'll hose those guys off, and then we'll start screwing everything back together. We'll turn the water back on and see how we did. So everything's back nice and tight. The solenoids are back on, and like I said, I just took a little bit of a mist from the hose and just kind of sprayed everything off, just kind of cleaned it up a little bit, just so I could see when I turn the water on if there's gonna be any leaks or any issue. It'll be really easy to see if there's a leak because that water will actually move a little bit, you know, just like if it's a small leak. If not, you'll definitely see a big leak. Okay, so we now have the water back on. Everything is looking good. There's no leaks that I can see. And now what we're gonna do is go to the end of the line where the sprinkler head was leaking and just make sure that there's no other leaks. But that is a pretty simple fix. That was very lucky that I didn't have to go to Home Depot, get any parts other than just the valve itself. So it was pretty slick to do it that way. Now the only thing we have left to do is let's just get the box cover back on. And let's go check. So there's the valve box, and across the lawn, clear to the other side over here to this corner, this is where that sprinkler head was leaking. And we'll just double check and make sure that there's no water coming out of this now. Before, we had just tons of water coming out of here. And now it looks pretty dry. It looks pretty good. So hopefully you found that helpful. This is a common thing. If you have a sprinkler box, there's always going to be some kind of a sprinkler repair, and sometimes those valves will fail. This particular valve has been in for almost 15 years. So that was a pretty good lifespan for that particular valve, but it does happen. So anyway, hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, please give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll have plenty more content coming. And if there's something that you would like us to take a look at and do some repair, whether it's anything, it doesn't matter, any kind of home maintenance or anything, leave us a little note down below, and we'll look at doing that in a future video. So hey, you guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.